ground support equipment, which told me, based on my advice from the commencement speech, you don't want to learn everything about that. You really, if you want to get into the missile business, you've got to expand your horizons. But the Von Braun team, which was a development operations division, headed the development operations division at ABMA, we became part of Marshall Space Flight Center, and that was the focus of the Marshall Space Flight Center. They built all the administrative stuff around there. I had the opportunity, and during those years, in my 38 years with NASA, to some of the programs that I felt I had some contribution to, the Centaur, Pegasus, Apollo, Saturn, Space Lab, Shuttle, the great observatories, and obviously I became a center director. Now, the most memorable ones I don't really have the time to go into all of those, but the ones that had some good news and bad news was the Saturn, the Apollo Saturn program. My first experience from bad news was the Apollo fire in 1967, where we lost 3 astronauts, Grissom, White, and Chaffee. That was traumatic for me, because at that time we didn't have national TV, and the world didn't see that happening. The people who got to see and listen to the communications were the people at the Cape and who were involved in the operations, and the launch center, the Missions Control Center in Houston. The bad news about that was we were pretty close in a small blockhouse when this happened, and they set the stage for what the configuration of the test. It was the first test of the overall integrated system of the Apollo. We were launching these astronauts, actually planned to launch these astronauts into low Earth orbit. But the thing that was so trying, and I still remember to this day, is from the time we had the actual flight configuration, except for the missile was not fuel, but we had 100% oxygen in the capsule, and we had unfortunately a short in the launch and a power cable, and when you got an ignition source and oxygen, anything will burn. So that resulted in a tremendous fire. The communication that I remember from the capsule, from the time that started until the end, was 15 seconds. There's no way that these guys could get out of the capsule, because when the fire started, the pressure increased, and the only way to get the hatch open was to pull it inside, and it was working against them. Yeah, I'll always remember that. The good news, if there's any good news, obviously good news about the lunar landing, is that there was a tremendous exercise in reviewing all the problems in the whole launch system. And they were tremendous. There are people who would comment today that, and we corrected those before we launched, we continued with the lunar program. But people in the program today who would say that if we hadn't have had that problem, we wouldn't have identified all these problems, and it could have had a significant effect on our ability to launch them. So that was, if you look at good news. The other was the most successful program to me was the shuttle. The bad news there was the Challenger. That was a different kind of exercise relative to the review. The world saw that. We had open communication. We had speculation and criticism, and I personally was offended by part of the report where it criticized the management of Marshall. But the basis for that criticism, I think the recommendations, I think were good in the Rogers Commission, which was implemented for future shuttles. Being a center director was something that I think everybody that ever works for NASA would like to achieve, and I had the opportunity in all this time to work with some of the most technical and management competent system in Monte, Sano. Like Ernst Stuhlinger, Eberhard Rees, Maxie Norbert, Roy Godfrey, Leland Ballou, Woody Bethea, and one of my closest associates and very close friends, Jerry Richardson. After retirement, after the 38 years, I started a little company, and until March of this year, I found a company that acquired it. All this time, I can say that I personally have been satisfied with my personal accomplishments, and I've heard reasons why from other people, and I've thought of these myself. One is luck. The other is being in the right place at the right time, hard work. But the fourth one that I have to add myself, it's in Christian environment of my early childhood, actually, to me, established the foundation for my Christian life. I would like to bring to Bill in the space business and the cosmos and seeing what's happening with technical advancements. There are people and some scientists who believe that everything can be proven with science and technology, and uncertainty or question about God. In short, that says that one day, I mean, the way I interpret it, one day some people believe that we're going to learn so much that we're going to prove there wasn't a creator. Now that's not all the scientists. There's some atheist scientists who maybe give you a little bit of an out, but I'd like to give you a quote from that I think speaks to this, especially in the space business and in myself. I can only say that the grandeur of the cosmos serves only to confirm my belief in the certainty of a creator. The universe revealed through scientific inquiry is a living witness that God has been indeed at work. That was quoted by Dr. von Braun in 1976. I have a little bit of a confession to make about back to the ability to learn. One of the things I took from that message was you learn, and it was always to advance my professional career. One of the things that I recognize now, and this and much older, maybe I'm hopefully a lot wiser, is what I do recognize now, that I should have applied that to my spiritual development as well. Now I can tell you that I'm in the process of doing that right now. I would like to relate in one of our Sunday school classes not too long ago. It was brought up about a hire. Dr. Randy Cross. He was the superintendent of the Prairie Director of the United Methodist Church in the South Dakota Annual Conference. Number one is keeping the law. Now, we all know laws, and you might get a warm feeling that maybe one time you could break the law, but you didn't, and that made me feel good. The second is you do good, and you do good kind of unintentionally, like simple things. Maybe it's because you're approached to help someone, and you do it because you were approached, or you're asked for some charitable contribution, and you do it. That's number two. The third is an intended good, and that's where you plan to do those good things. You plan it as far as your life, not just when it comes along, but you look forward to that in everything you do. So that's kind of what the third item area is. The intended. Now the fourth one is a biggie, and it's I might say it's the one, and that's called live holy love. And I'm going to read you what Dr. Cross's explanation of that is. Each thought and each motive, each action and response in our lives reflects God's love flowing through us. people who strive to live this way bring love and hope wherever they are. I'll have to admit that where I feel I personally fit in the hierarchy now, I'm confident, and as truthful as I can be, the first three I've accomplished. Where I'm at now is going through, is in the planning phase or in the adoption of the fourth. Now, I'm confident I'll probably never be able to achieve that totally, but the attempt to do that is probably the best I can do right now. I'd leave you with the passage from the Bible that Buzz Aldrin stated during the communion on the lunar surface. And this is from John 5. I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever remains in me and I in him will bear much fruit. Now here's where I believe and I feel it's about for me. For you can do nothing without me. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.